And if you look at, I think, tenor drums, and really, you think of someone like Craig Cahoon, and the sort of work that he's done, kind of to truly revolutionize, I think, the way the instrument works. Not is not quite the same attention being given to the bass as maybe tenors.
Craig's done a lot of work on trying to improve on the bass. There's also, if you've got a good bass drummer, they'll get a good sound out of any bass, I think. But it's how easy it makes it.
Right.
And yeah, because I did find with Craig, I understand he was trying to do to make it tune better. But with the Hoss-built drum, it did need retuned quite frequently. And the I see it with youngsters that are playing that drum. If they set it down, the nature of the tuning mechanism, if they set it down and pull it along a wee bit, it's out of tune again, you know. So it needs constant attention, and I'm not sure that's necessary. Hoss might disagree with me on that one, but from way back, I don't think they needed so much continual attention.
So maybe there's an opportunity to go back and look at the original hardware, maybe.
I think so.
And apply it to sort of modern thinking, maybe.
Yeah, they're getting a sound out of it, but it's a sound that's quite close. It's not actually projecting where you want it.
Interesting.
Whereas I think they have done a lot of work on the tenors. As I say, they're kind of making the bass a sort of slight extension of the tenor, and that's not it.
So you would have been a part of let's call it the bass section. At a time in the late '80s was the tenor drum was really being minimized, and then sort of as a transition to the '90s, mid '90s, there was a resurgence in interest in tenor drumming.
Well, I think our bass section really flourished because of Haggis, because he had a fairly unique style on the flourishing side, and as I say, he was also a good player. And at one point, it was Haggis and Peter Carter from up north, and the young lad.
Tenor drummer?
Oh, what's his name? Anyway, 3 lads, great big tall lads, 3 giants on the tenor drum and the midget on the bass at that point. But the flourishing was, it was very well choreographed, and it was in time with what we were playing, and there was no stops and starts. It was all very fluid. Haggis had all these movements that took you from one part of the tune into the next, and that took us all into a different plane of almost like dance in a way. It was choreographing what was happening with the flourishing along with the tune, and there were some crazy flourishes, but they fitted with that particular tune. There was a point, and I can't remember what year it is, but Ian still has the sheet where, and this is back in 1980 something, with John Moneagle, we thought we would try different tones on the tenor drum. So we did. I was playing tenor at that point. And it was J.K. McAllister that was judging the piping. And the comment was, "Good start, where are the Indians?"
Even though
he did not like it one bit. I was quite hurt. I thought, we're doing something really quite innovative. Which we were, but it died a death with us. But then that came back sometime later. So we did actually venture into that. Got slapped down for that one. So
at that point, you sort of went back. That was an example.
We thought,
not
maybe
worth it.
maybe not do that one again.
But it's interesting. A lot of people think of, maybe what was happening in Ontario as being sort of the innovators. But it sounds like the Vale and John Moneagle and Haggis MacLeod and yourself were really the precursors of what was going on.
We're enjoying trying stuff. So I think we've got that sheet for you somewhere.
That would be good. So what do you think of bass sections today? You see that, talking about choreography, there's definitely an element of that, but the tonality of it,
I think for a while it got to be too much a visual display with a lack of tonality, but I think that's changed, and I think although there's been a lot of things done that really haven't worked very well, I think things are calming down into a better sound where the tenors are contributing to the sound in a subtle and good way.
Yeah, it seems that often, certainly at the higher grades, often the bass section can be the deciding factor in splitting hairs in ensemble, and it seems like bands are thinking, as in the past 2, 3, 4 years especially, that getting that right can be the deal breaker on the day.
Yes, I think they're getting too big, and I can't get my head round where tenor drummers are not facing their pipe major. I can't get my head round the fact that they're following the leading tip. And there's so many of them, it almost splits the band physically in half. I think the size should reduce. I mean, we're almost at the stage where there's a tenor drummer for each note of the chanter now. And you go, and I'm not sure about the super bands anyway. The mega bands, really, I call them. I don't think they're super. I don't think their sounds any more glorified than a smaller band. Things just have got a bit big and unwieldy, and I'm not sure it's improving the sound.
How has the bass section sort of influenced that size factor?
Well, they're now talking about having two bass drummers. So you're going to have two pipe majors and two leading drummers as well. It just gets a bit, what is going on. The bass drum really is the heartbeat of the band. So I'll be going down the Doctor Who line of having two hearts. As I say, I think the tenor, the bass section has sort of become the tenor section, and the bass is rather being marginalised, and I think it'll come back. How many rock bands do you know without a bass drum? It's the bass sound is something that it's only when it's not there you realise there's something missing.
Right.
And I think a lot of the basses are being reduced down. There's some bass drummers that are only playing an odd note here or there rather than the continuous flow of the thing.
Right. You've talked a few times now about judges influencing what a band does or tries to do that. Do you think it's up to the adjudicators to sort of bring it back, or are they perhaps they're not paying enough attention to the midsection? I'm not sure, but is there a role for the judges to sort of try to influence what a band should be? Like,
I think so.
How's it going to work?
I mean, it's bound to have some effect from reading sheets that we get. ensemble judges, the tendency is if they're a piping judge judging ensemble, the bass section gets a token gesture at the end. And if they're a drumming judge judging ensemble, again, there's lots about the side court, but again, the bass section gets a token gesture at the end. I think there's been so many changes, they're maybe not sure what they're listening for, ensemble-wise.
Do you think the idea of having a bass section judge added, do you think there's room for that? Do you think that would make sense?
I think it would be interesting for a while. I think it might prove or disprove the theory. I couldn't say how it would, but I think it might calm things down a bit. Yes. There's with so many sounds on the tenor, it can be quite distracting if they're not tuned in right.
And I would think, for an ensemble judge, perhaps to devote attention to that very significant section draws attention away. Sometimes, perhaps there is room for that. Yeah.
As I say, I find it difficult when you've got the bass section as a sort of separate entity, whereas it shouldn't really be. It should be playing the tune that the pipers are playing.
So might
accompany it,
Yeah.
I mean, not overloading it because you've got all these sounds, but it's getting a wee bit that the bass sections are accompanying the side drum, and they've kind of got their back to the pipers, and it's kind of we'll just do our own thing. And I'm seeing that even in grade 1.
Yeah. What about are there particular sections that you're really enjoying right now? Really, if you were to pick, say, one, maybe 2 bands as being the benchmark for what should be happening, as an example for others to model from.
Well, last year I liked what Fife Police did. That was a nice. It blended in. It wasn't overpowering, and it added to the. They seemed to be a good band together. And what else? Probably Scottish Power. I think there's a young bunch at the back end there that are working away. I think they're going to get somewhere. Just the approach and with what's happening there.
And would you chalk that up on your observation to the pipe majors, Chris Armstrong, Dougie Murray, or would it be more about Mick O'Neill? Or
I think both of them. I think it's the combination of the piper and pipe major and leading drummer together that they're working together. I think there's the drum corps are less separate. You get they see. I think they practice as a band rather than practice as a pipe corps in this room and a drum corps in that room. Well, they presumably do for a certain period of time, but I think they practice more as a band and are listening to each other.
What about? I mean, you did mention that kind of 2 bass drummer
Yes.
option, and some bands have tried that.
Yes.
Is there? Do you think there's room for that? Would you like to see that happening?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't. I think it was unique with the Spirit, with Hoss on the bass and Carl and myself as bass drummers playing bass tenors. That was a unique thing to do. I think that was a very clever thing to try. And we all enjoyed it, and I think it worked well. But I still think it takes away from the actual bass sound. It did make it a glorified tenor drum. and with the mallets you can't do the flourishing, so it feels like you're kind of not quite one thing or another. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the most ingenuitive way of trying to expand the bass. But I think putting 2 bass drummers up there, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it'll work. However, might be proved wrong.
It's often remarked that the bass is playing solo, solo player within the band.
Yeah.
Sometimes it seems like bass drummers strive to be the center of attention through, moving around and getting into the music or doing whatever. What do you think of that?
I don't like that.
No.
I think you should be, you should be at attention. Having said that, I think my metronome is in my legs, so I do tend to move my feet a wee bit. But no, I don't get it why somebody has to play a drum with their legs akimbo. I'm going, just put your heels together. It's no, I don't get that. I understand why, and I don't like it, why they're having to march in the horrible crab walk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the drums are too wide, you can't see round them. But actually, it's coming from an original marching situation. If the band is marching in, we should be marching with them too.
And I guess it's that projection of the instrument as well.
That's right, that's why they're having to turn sideways, because there's no sound coming out the front. If we march straight on, pipe major's often not hearing the bass. And they're wanting to hear that for the whole band to start together.
I think it was not Jimmy Stewart once again who kind of started the crab walk as it was kind
That's right. And I can understand why he does it, but I don't think it's right. And I think that's back to the drums. Mm-hmm. It's the fault of the drums that we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, if you're marching, that's a funny thing, but when you're marching, you're playing the bass drum, whatever you do, you hit the bass drum when your foot hits the ground. So if you're marching along and you fall down a hole, the beat's late because you've been alternatively, if you suddenly hit a bump, it comes in early, and I don't know why, but that's what happens. So when you're doing a crab walk, you've got a wee step and a big step and a wee. So to keep the three pace roll right, it's not helping. Just because it's a whole body thing.